Want awesome tabletop games delivered right to your door? Sign up now for Gamebox Monthly. Learn more at GameboxMonthly.com.
Hello and welcome to another installment of Elaborate. Thanks for checking in. A couple episodes in, still getting my bearings, but you're here, and that's step one. That makes me happy. Thanks for that. Sitting down once again with the vice captain, Paul Bianchi, the writer of the Deadpool Beauty and the Beast musical parody that's currently conquering the internet. He and his fantastic pants are here to talk to me about all the feels. Let's get to it. Hey, Paul.
Hi, Jake.
How's it going, bud?
Oh, I'm doing great.
Are you? I feel like that was a stark comparison to the tone of us right before we started recording.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I feel like we were both a little lethargic this afternoon today. First kind of hot day, and so maybe that's getting to us. Or maybe we're just lazy schmucks.
Well, I'm feeling re-energized suddenly.
Suddenly re-energized?
Yeah.
It's that theme song.
Yeah,
That's
I think
what it is.
so.
It's that really weird ass theme song.
And I'm drinking tea, and it's your birthday.
So lots of things happening all at once. Tea and birthdays.
Yeah, that's all you need.
So these are recorded a little bit earlier than they're released. As I'm kind of getting my bearings with the show, I'm stockpiling some episodes. So the listeners probably won't be hearing this for a couple weeks later, but we're recording this the night before my birthday, actually, although it is officially my birthday on the side of the country that I'm from.
What hour of the day were you born in?
You know what? That's a fucking great question. I have no idea.
Really?
And I'm sure my mom would be angry at me for not knowing that. Sorry, Mom.
Like she's told you before?
Yeah, because I know I've asked multiple times. I want to say that I was an early morning baby because I want to say that I was almost born the day before. So I want to say that I was my mom might have been in labor through the 14th into the 15th of March. The Ides of March.
Yeah.
At 2, Jacus.
Well, you share a birthday with my mom. You're both Ides of March babies.
Yeah, we had this conversation when she was here in town for a couple weeks ago.
And I know for sure when I was born, because there's an expression from when she had me. It was sun came up, sun came out.
Sun came up, sun came out. That was your mom came up with that?
Yeah.
That's delightful.
Uh-huh.
She is a regular wordsmith.
She will take that compliment to the bank.
Yeah, I'm not sure when I was born, like time of day, but how do you feel about getting older, Paul? You're just a couple years younger than I am. You just celebrated your 31st birthday a couple of weeks ago.
I wonder how I'm going to feel about it as I get older, but right now I'm okay with it. I dreaded turning 30 when I was 26. I think I started dreading it.
So the way that I am only at 34 dreading turning 40 right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then when I turned 30, I actually had a really nice 30th birthday, and I felt very good about it. I felt very at peace. And then 30 itself, I noticed that things about me had changed. Things that used to upset me didn't upset me the same way. And I don't know. I feel good about it.
See, the difference is that I was kind of thrilled to turn 30.
Yeah.
I feel like I was the kind of person who never fit in with my 20s. I was over it when I was 22. I don't know. I think it's just because I am.
That's a very 22-year-old way to feel.
I am sort of. Well, yeah. I guess over it isn't the right term. I've always been sort of a curmudgeon, I suppose, in certain ways. Also, I feel like turning 30 is sort of a rite of passage. When you turn 30, at least this is all right. So this is the way that in my 20s, I thought of it was like, well, shit. I feel like an adult. I felt like by turning 30, it was like, now I'm going to get the respect, or now like I can have the actual, like there's a title to being in your 30s.
No, I get what you're saying. I have I had a similar conversation with a female friend of mine who is turning 30 soon, and she was saying how it sucks to be a female writer in this town and to be also young, because then they say, oh, well, you don't know what you're talking about. You're just a kid. And they also say you don't know what you're talking about. You're a woman. She's like, it'd be nice to remove one of those things.
Yeah. Well, also, I think the age one might just be the cover for what they want to say, which is woman.
Well, I get it, but I've also
Yeah.
I've definitely received being on set before. People say like, "Oh, how old are you?" And I'm 30, and they're like, "Oh, you're a baby."
Yeah, that's
and I was
true.
like, "What is
That's
that?"
always condescending when
Yeah,
people
it's
do that shit.
disgusting.
It doesn't matter how old you are, that never
Yeah.
goes away.
Yeah.
Like that's been happening for all of time at every age.
Uh-huh.
If like a 60-year-old is talking to a 70-year-old and they're like, "Oh, you're a baby." Like,
And of course, you can't respond with, "Oh, you're elderly."
yeah,
Like,
exactly. Yeah,
what-
you're an old piece of shit. I have not really bothered with a birthday in a couple years. Actually, since my 30th birthday, 4
so
years
you have
ago.
you're stacking them up, and you're going to do them all at once.
Exactly. It's like a hose.
Yeah.
Like if you pinch it and then you let go, all of the water comes out. So that's my birthday. That's
Yeah,
my
we're all
birthday
going to
hose.
run through the sprinklers of your birthday.
Exactly. All
Yeah.
at one time.
Actually, can we do that tomorrow? It might be hot.
Actually, that's kind of a bad idea. What about like an 80s summer day sprinkler birthday party? Get like a slip and slide, throw it on some rocks.
Do you know what I associate with running through the sprinklers? And I think it's just because my memories of this is chasing behind my sister and my cousin Elisa. I think either my sister or my cousin Elisa had a one-piece swimsuit with the like frills,
Like a skirt.
like a skirt,
attached to
but
it.
it was far too short to be a
Right,
skirt.
because
like it
that
was-
would be weird.
That's the image I have for running through the sprinklers is like a little girl wearing that style of bathing suit.
So is that what you imagined when I said that? Me in
Yes,
that little
you were
outfit?
wearing that,
The
yeah.
what colors? I'm just dying to know.
It's magenta and has black polka dots.
Wow,
on it.
that's cheating, magenta. That's just a funny sounding color.
Oh,
Come on,
yeah.
that's not fair. I don't know.
I was gonna say pink, and then I was like, no, that's definitely a magenta that I see in my head. It is the color that the computer tests during the computer color
Right.
test.
Here's the thing that I feel about birthdays. I feel like if you're successful, you don't care how old you are. And let me rephrase that. If you consider yourself successful, then I don't think it really matters how old you are because you probably have a sense of confidence. And I think people like you and we had this conversation earlier where it's like we put all this pressure on ourselves because of our age. The pressure is only from our success or lack thereof, of being happy with our career or not.
I think that you can have success and also feel a deep depression for that mortal sense of I am slowly dying.
Right. Okay. See, I don't have, yeah. And that's the thing about me is like the age thing doesn't, I mean, yeah, like I hurt my knee, the back of my knee, like my hamstring. I screwed that up. And I definitely feel like I'm getting older. I know that people that are listening to this that are in their 40s are gonna be like, you're a baby.
Yeah.
But I definitely, like, I could tell that I'm not 21. Also, it should be known I'm not in shape. So it's not like I'm a healthy 34-year-old. I'm the 34-year-old with the health of a 44-year-old.
Yeah, you're sitting here in a hospital nightgown.
Yes, with the ash just hanging open. Because once you turn 34, you just don't care anymore, Paul.
Yeah, I think that's why I was imagining you in that bathing suit because I would rather see you in that than your ass hanging out right now. So you're not feeling good about yet again aging.
No, I'm not. I
like how we like to think about like on your birthday you suddenly become that age as opposed to you gradually becoming that during the year.
that is a weird thing.
Yeah.
It's like you're only 1 day older than you were the day before.
Oh, yeah.
You're not 1 year. You're literally 1 day older. It's just you have a silly title now.
Mhm.
That's a great point. Yeah, I feel that impending dread though. Starting in like February every year. It usually happens around the like, hey, what are you gonna do for your birthday talks?
Yeah.
And that's when I start getting just like just fucking cranky. I don't know. The only silver lining of all of it is that just a couple days before my birthday, I celebrate the day that I brought home Cosmo. For those of you listening who might not be familiar, Cosmo is my dog. He is a small half Boston Terrier, half Chihuahua. If you just go on social media, you'll see a billion pictures of him. And I brought him home on March 11th of 2005. So this year I celebrated 12 years of Cosmo. That always brings me a great joy. Just a few days before my birthday, which at least in recent years has brought me not so much.
Yeah, you're and allow me to introduce a word that I came up with the other day because I was feeling simultaneously cranky and anxious, and of course you just had to make a word combo out of it. I had to make it cranktious.
Cranktious.
And I used it with my art director that day, and he said, yes, this is great. And then he repeated it to me later. Like he really liked that word.
Yeah, he hung on to it.
And then I went to another set and I worked with a friend of mine and I brought up the word to her and she was like, "Oh, I hate that. Don't use that." So I would love to know.
Wait, did she hear it before? Was she familiar with it?
She we were talking about words that have you ever had someone say to you like, "Oh, I hate that word moist"?
Yeah, and it's always a woman.
Yeah. Well,
I've never heard.
I've had some men say
really.
it too,
Oh,
yeah.
see, I have felt that's like a thing. Like maybe that's the stereotype. No, I've never had a problem with the word moist.
And there was another.
Although people who are now listening to this will not enjoy
they've
that
now
word.
shuddered twice
Yes.
if they hate that word. There was another word that wasn't that word. That was, I forget what the other word was, but it triggered that conversation and between Kate and I said to Kate, "I don't understand this. Like I love all words. I can't think of a word that I hate aside from like words with negative connotations. Like just the words by themselves, like as a structure, I think all words are fine." And then I said, except for
Can I just say that all of these are going to make great quotes when you die?
all words are
all
fine.
words are fine. Paul Bianchi. I love words.
I think honestly what I love about the English language is that we've manhandled so many other languages and shoved it into what is now English. I love the
What are your top 10 words?
top 10 words.
What are your top 10 words?
I
Paul?
don't have a list of top 10 words.
Really?
No.
All right. What are just some of your favorite words?
I really like the word fen.
Fen?
Yeah.
F-E-N?
Uh-huh.
What does it mean?
It is a like marshy, watery flatland. And I think it's just a great word.
That
for-
is a great word.
For it. You know, like and you can say things like my favorite sentence maybe is like he or she stole into the fen. Like
Ooh.
and I'm like it rolls off the tongue nicely.
It does.
But I said to her that words that I don't like though are those words that aren't words but get used quite a lot. And you and I have talked about this too, how we don't like the phrase like I'm adulting.
Oh, yeah. Like when
Yeah.
people take a noun,
Yeah.
turn it into a verb, those sorts of things.
Yeah. Because you know, it's perfectly acceptable just to say, "Hey, I'm behaving responsibly."
Yeah, there's certain things I could edit to the vernacular and certain things that are slang that are irritating more so than they are like, wrong
Sure.
or unaccepted. Adulting is one of them. Yeah, I don't like when people say like, "Oh, I have to adult today." Like,
Yeah.
don't say that.
And it becomes overused. Like the first time you hear it, you think, "Okay, they're quirky."
But that's
And-
you could just blame
Yeah.
you could blame the world we live in for that. You
Sure.
could blame social media. You could blame the way that if something becomes remotely popular, everything on television is that for a year
Yeah.
until it's just beaten to death.
So I brought up that to her, and then I said, "How do you feel about crankscious, the wombo of cranky and anxious?" And she said, "Ugh, I hate that." And so
I can't let you pass over the fact that you just said the wombo.
the wombo.
That might be my new favorite word. Wombo? What the fuck is a wombo? Is it a combo
A word
of
combo.
words?
Mhm.
Oh, you saucy son of a bitch.
And I actually learned that word just recently, and I've never bothered to look up if it's like become a dictionary
Right.
word. You know, like we're both wrestling fans, and how SmackDown is in
Yeah, like that became-
Webster's dictionary,
Right, yeah.
and if wombo is one of those words that just became that way. Did you know that we say goodbye because someone way back in time said God be with you and shortened it to like BWY at the end, and then people just sort of were like, "Hey, I like that," and then it morphed into goodbye as opposed to God be with you.
No, I had no idea.
And granted, I just read this recently, and it could be something that someone made up.
Right.
So, but stranger
It could
things
be the ultimate wombo.
stranger things have happened in history, like
Right, yeah.
you know, our days of the weeks are named after the Norse gods,
yeah.
and how Wednesday came from Odin's day,
Yeah.
which just came from like Woden's day.
Yeah, like how-
Woden's-
yeah, yeah.
It just morphed, and that's probably
Right.
why it's spelled all crazy. But I think language is wonderful. That's my
that's the summary.
yeah.
I've always enjoyed the word awkward because I feel like and then there's a term for that word that describes itself, auto something-imus. I'm so good with words.
Autoerotic asphyxiation.
Miss, yeah. But awkward looks awkward. It's awkward to say.
Sure.
It sounds awkward.
Yeah.
It's just a great word. I've always enjoyed that. Also, I feel like there are just certain words that I overuse like a son of a bitch, and anybody who's going to listen to this show is probably going to catch on to all of them.
Yeah.
Facetious. I use facetious all the time.
I don't think you've ever said facetious so far.
Well, maybe on the show.
On the show,
maybe not. Well, because I haven't been too facetious towards you. That's why.
Yeah.
Usually it's me telling that, no, I'm just being facetious. Usually it's that. Yeah, no, I definitely have words. I also have phrases that I overuse a ton of.
Uh-huh.
But we could save that for another episode of Words with Friends.
May I just say, though, that
podcast called Words with Friends, where we
Words
just talk about words. Speaking of getting older and stress and the way that we deal with that, you mentioned to me the other day that you actually woke up and your teeth hurt.
Uh-huh.
This was a new experience for you. Have you done this previously?
Yes, this was a new experience.
You said that you were grinding your teeth during your sleep, and it actually woke you up.
Yeah, and I know I clench my teeth. I clench my teeth, and I catch myself doing it, and I know it's totally a symptom of stress. And I woke up the other night, and it was weird. I think I described to you the dream that I was having that was reconciling the pain that I was having, and it was something about going to the dentist, but I forgot what that was now.
Oh.
But I woke up, and my whole jaw just ached from grinding my teeth while I slept, and it was terrible.
Why? Was there like overwhelming amount of stress on you the night prior?
So, I mean, I have chronic anxiety,
right?
And so when things that don't bother normal people, or when things that would bother normal people affect me, I know that they affect me in a much stronger way that is just its own thing. Just sort of like when you ask a depressed person, like, why are you sad? It's like, I'm sad. Well, I mean, I got a ticket today, but also depression.
Yeah. Also because I don't know why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's sort of what happens to me with
anxiety.
Anxiety is that things begin to snowball, and they snowball sort of subconsciously. And then I wonder why I'm feeling so terrible. And I realize, oh, my subconscious and my anxiety allowed this to build into something that's worse than it is.
Right.
And the main reason was that I had 2 jobs the very next day. I had to leave one early to get to the other one, and having to be ready for anything, or be ready for people to be mad at me or disappointed in me because I accepted both jobs. Because and the thing is, it's not on me. They allowed me to.
It's not like a thing that came up.
Yeah,
yeah.
They both know, were aware of the situation. I wasn't trying to swindle anyone, but it's part of that whole fear of, am I going to do something that ruins everyone else's day? And that's sort of the thing that's unusual about film, is that you're not. And people say it all the time on set, and it's annoying. Hey, we're not saving the world here, guys. But it's a high stress situation because everyone's paycheck relies on the day behaving like a machine.
Right. Yeah.
And if
it is a cohesive what was that word?
I don't know.
It is a cohesive unit.
Yeah.
It's definitely one of those things where every working part has to be doing its job, or else the whole thing does kind of fucking just shit the
and
bed.
Especially as a department head, or a department head that is the only person in the department, which was the case for the second shoot of the day.
Right.
I was afraid of that before I went to bed. And I also stayed up a little bit too late too.
Right. Is there a specific thing that you do to like cope with anxiety? Because I do notice. I know I just asked you a question and then I brought something up, but like there's definitely little weird things that sometimes you get really flustered about. And it's weird because it's a stark comparison to your personality.
Yeah,
like you are such a laid back, chill person that to see you get sort of like, like don't know kind of what to do with yourself. It is like a switch.
Yeah,
I helped you sell a car last month. And I remember after you put the car on Craigslist, you got like 2 phone calls and you were done.
Yeah.
You were like, can you answer these? And it was weird for me because it was like, that was probably the first time I really saw your anxiety at work.
Yeah.
Like we've worked jobs before where we've both been busy, and there's been like a busyness, like a speed in our actions because of a job we had to do or something like that.
Yeah.
But I think that was the first time I ever saw your actual anxiety kind of peek its head out.
Yeah, I think what my way of dealing with it is that I compartmentalize the feelings and the tasks, and I sort of make a checklist in my head of the things that need to be done.
Right.
And it's hard when I'm dealing with something that has unknown variables.
Right.
Like, when am I going
Something
to
you
receive
can't-
a
something
phone
you-
call from someone?
Something you can't make a checklist for.
Yeah, that.
Or rather better yet, something you can't cross something off of
Yes.
on your own.
Mhm.
Right.
And that's where things get out of control. I realized that I'm someone who likes to see a project through from beginning to end.
Okay.
But I've realized since I've been out here that I'm a terrible editor,
Okay.
because it is impossible for me.
You mean
to
like a terrible like film editor? Like
film editor?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I'm actually I'm a really good writing editor. Like, I love
okay.
going through, and because I know I like to think that I know what makes a good story, and so I'm pretty good at figuring things out that way. But when it comes to film editing, I feel like there are so many components to finishing a film project.
Right.
I cannot prioritize the
Gotcha.
order of events that makes, because I get too distracted by, like, well, this isn't right, and it's like, well, this thing that I'm focusing on right now is probably the last thing I should be doing,
Right,
but I'm
right.
focused on that.
Yeah.
And then I see something else that's wrong, and it just sort of spirals out of control, and then I sort of shut down, and I shut down the program because
You literally
I
just shut down.
and I sort of hate that about myself, but I also feel like we shouldn't have to do everything.
There is something also to be said for the type of job that you do at the level that you do it,
Yeah.
because we both work in the entertainment industry in a way that isn't the the big entertainment industry.
Yeah.
We work in the small entertainment industry.
Mhm.
And because of that, the job is so much harder than it should really be, as far as the way that it, like you said, like the way that a department is laid out.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be the only person in the department. That there's a reason for that. And so the job that you have to do ends up becoming much greater, regardless whether you're working art department or whether you're working camera. Like,
Yeah.
if you're shooting something, if you're in film production, every department has a ton of hands necessary.
Yeah.
None of them should be solo. And the types of jobs that you and I take, a lot of times we are often solo, or you have one additional set of hands.
Yeah.
And so it can become very overwhelming very quickly. And I think this is probably true of any career or any job. I know that when you and I are going to speak to what we know of, which is this industry, but if you work in an office somewhere and you're in HR and you're the only person in HR, then you get it.
Yeah, when you don't have an assistant outside taking your phone calls and you have to do everything
Or
yourself.
or you're not even an assistant, just a teammate, just more people, like or people that are supposed to be doing the other elements of the job that have titles that in some of our productions just are completely missing.
Yeah.
Now, do you feel like, as I mentioned, you selling the car?
Yeah.
Do you feel that the majority of your anxiety comes from work? Because I feel like it's inverse from what I know of you.
Yeah.
I feel like the majority of your anxiety stuff comes from like daily shit.
Yeah, no, the majority of my anxiety comes from things that affect me on a personal level.
Right.
And I feel like I'm good at my work, but it's not what I moved out here to do.
Of course.
So it's sort of impossible for me to feel that stress on a deep personal level.
Because it's as unaffecting.
Yeah, because it's not creatively fulfilling completely, and I don't know, I don't put as much stake into what happens, and it's easier for me to rationalize and say, like, well, this is the time that they gave me to do it, and it wasn't enough time, and I told them that it wasn't going to be enough time, and they're asking for the world, and this is what they get. Like, it's easy to let things go like that.
So you just alluded to a moment ago that you do like what you do, yet it isn't what you set out to do.
Yes.
And I feel like this is something that might be super specific to like the LA creative type, but universally understood of people who maybe necessarily didn't follow a dream, or people who, might be like, hey, yeah, I'm happy with what I do. I make good money. I'm secure.
Yeah, I know a bunch of people who have pursued a certain path in a career, and then end up in a different department within that career.
Oh, right.
And so they say, oh, well, this is sort of like what I want to do, but I can see, like, across the aisle what I started and what I wanted to do, but this isn't what I want to do.
Right.
Or sometimes they fall into that spot and they think, you know what, I'm actually pretty well suited for this.
Or I'm better at this than I thought. Yeah.
For instance, my dad began a career in social work.
Okay.
And the way that the physical rehabilitation career or world was changing in the 1980s sort of altered his course, and he began not working with people on a personal level as much as he had begun his career thinking that he would. So I think this is a relatable thing, like
Yeah.
across.
Well, I'm my first thought immediately goes to my like high school best friend Jesse. Jesse always wanted to be a pilot.
Sure.
It was always where his mind was at. And he went to school to become a pilot, and he learned how to fly planes, and got a job in the air traffic control tower,
Yeah.
and loves it.
Yeah.
And he's been there ever since, as far as I know. We don't keep in touch as much as I wish we would, since high school. But
Or like
it was
sports players who get injured and
right,
then can't.
and have to, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
they're like, I'm color commentating now.
Yeah, well, like we both talked earlier about, we're both massive wrestling fans, and so it's like there's plenty of people in that industry where you get injured, and it's just like that's your career. So you're going to get a job doing backstage work or doing commentary or doing something else in the field.
Yeah.
But the thing with Jesse was what he realized soon was like, oh, I'm going to make a ton more money doing this than being a commercial airline pilot, which is extremely hard, as well as just at least in the mid 2000s when this was all happening. Again, I don't know a ton about that industry, but I remember him telling me like it's really difficult. Like they do not make good money,
Yeah.
and there are not a lot of job opportunities as it is. So he found this career, and I'm pretty sure he still works at the exact same place, and it takes care of him, and he seems to be really happy. So I get that, but inversely, what I was really talking about was our sort of struggle
Mhm.
of the like, if you could turn down the work you're being offered, you would in a fucking heartbeat.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Here I'm at this age now, and yeah, I'm doing the things I want to do. I mean, here I'm along with Zen Zenith, I've co-founded this podcast network, which I'm very thrilled about. I have written and directed my own feature film, as well as a ton of other video projects. I've recorded music that I'm proud of. Like, I've done these things that I want to do, these artistic endeavors, yet none of them are paying my bills.
Yeah.
I'm still working on top of all of these things. Yeah, I'm figuring out a way to make it work time-wise so that I can do this sort of things, but I'm not delusional, people. This is not my career yet. You know what I mean? None of these things are my career.
Yeah.
And so it's like dealing with that on a daily basis of like, oh, I have to talk to this person, this client for this job that I'm doing that I don't really want to be doing. How do you fucking deal with that?
Writing is my first passion, and I have people who I went to art school, and I'm friends with artists that as soon as they were done with art school, they realized, hey, I just spent a whole bunch of money for nothing.
Right.
Art for me is a hobby. I want to do blah 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 instead. And for me, I left thinking, wow, I'm a writer. And I discovered that in art school.
Right, which you didn't go to art school with the intention of being a writer. You
No,
wanted to be a fine artist.
I wanted to be a comic book
Yeah,
artist.
exactly.
I entered as an illustrator.
Yeah.
When I moved out here, I realized my background in art, my genetic predisposition to be good at set building and prop making.
Why do you say, elaborate on that? What do you mean your genetic
Well,
disposition?
my mother's a genealogist, and so there are records in my family tree of people who there's just a history of people who are good with their hands.
And when you see, this is amazing to me, because when you say there's a history in my family, you don't mean like your grandpa. You mean like hundreds of years ago.
Yeah.
Like that's every time you talk about your family's genealogy, because so for people who might not, I don't know, I can't remember if we talked about this yet or if one of these episodes have been released where we have talked about it. Your mother has done an insane job in discovering your bloodline.
Yes.
I mean, generations upon generations upon generations upon generations back. You know about people who were fucking pirates and sword fighters that are your bloodline. Like, it's amazing, and I'm so incredibly jealous.
And what's funny is that, of course, my sister and I take it for granted.
Yeah, you're just like, what? You guys don't know? You know who you're related to from 700 years ago?
Yeah. Yeah. My mother has her maiden name taken back to origin of the last name, and
when you say origin of last name, you what you're saying is she's taken it back so far that literally to the first time people were given a last name.
Yeah, basically.
That's amazing.
And my on my dad's side, my last name Bianchi is a taken name, and so it becomes sort of hard to trace
Okay.
at a point because it was a movement and a group of people all took this last name Bianchi together.
Oh,
Um,
like a town kind of thing, or not town, but you know what I'm saying, like a community took it.
yeah, it was
not a bloodline.
Yeah, it was a peaceful protest actually. Yeah.
Wow. And they were like, "We are the Bianchis. We will
Mhm.
not stand up for your shit no more."
Yeah, well, yeah, and Bianchi means the whites, and they wore.
Oh, what kind of protest was this?
Yeah, right. No, it and honestly, it's sort of it's part of it that I don't like saying because it's
oh, really?
No, I'm not.
That's okay. Listen, we all come from some white supremacists at some point.
It wasn't like
I know.
that, but definitely they all wore white sheets because
Oh,
it was like
geez.
what they had.
Gotcha.
But they didn't like wear hats and cut out holes, and
it wasn't a costume.
it wasn't. It was more of like imagine it styled as a robe, like and they're walking through
You're
town.
not helping this at all.
No, I mean like
get
a
it.
toga. I'm not helping it.
But we get it though. Regardless, we're talking about the lineage of you being a builder, going
Yes.
back to art school.
Mhm. And my mom built sets for the high school productions that my sister was
Right,
in, and
right.
she was a theater major. And
Right.
my great uncle was a costumer and actually worked on Stargate and
Oh shit! I didn't know that.
oh yeah, but he was more of like a hired hand. Like he never really ascended to maybe where I know very little about him
Okay.
personally, but
Like he maybe didn't work necessarily in the industry as much as much as they would like.
it was more of like the wardrobe department was
Right.
thinking like, oh, we need this additional little costume for Independence Day. And in Independence Day,
Yeah.
there's that scene where the alien spaceship attacks the party, the people who are like, welcome aliens.
Right. Yeah.
And in that scene, there's two people dancing in white alien costumes,
Yeah.
and he made those costumes.
Oh my god! I never knew any of
And
this.
it's funny, and it's this nice little piece that I have. And when he passed away, I got scraps from his fabric bin that my aunt was holding on to. And
Why have I never heard the story? This is amazing.
oh yeah, his name's Richard Smart. I added him on IMDb. It was sort of fun.
Oh, you mean you gave him an IMDb account?
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's fantastic. How sweet of you.
Yeah, because he worked on Stargate and Batman and Robin, but in no way was it a connection for me,
Right,
because
yeah.
he sort of passed away before I
Gotcha.
moved out here, and I would have loved to have visited him and see what he was
Yeah.
up to.
So in any case, you went to art school and you came out a writer, but then when you moved out here, just to summarize, you realized, well, shit, I'm not going to make money as a writer right now. But I
Yeah.
can make money with all these other things that I am capable of doing.
And I realized in the video department at art school that everyone was interested in holding the red camera that came out
Right.
when I was a
Yeah.
senior and I think in school, and getting behind the camera and doing all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I was saying, hey, what you're filming
Looks like shit.
yeah, like I wanted to decorate
Right.
what was being shot, and I wanted to help create art. And
Right.
so I moved out here and I worked with a prop master for Battlestar Galactica,
Okay.
and he was production designing a shoot, and he needed someone to drive his car.
And that was your first art department gig?
And that was my first art department gig because he was asking my opinion while he was shopping.
Right.
And I was like, well, I went to art school, and I was trying to get the job, sort of. And so I was
Right,
like,
right.
well, according to Joseph Albers' color theory, like trying to be like,
Just the worst kind of
yeah,
person. Yeah.
yeah,
The kind of people that we now see on sets and we're like, oh, get this fucking kid out of here.
yeah, exactly. So he told me, and he gave me a nice piece of advice too. He said, like, if you want to be a production designer, be a production designer. There's not really a way to work up.
Right.
You
yeah.
just sort of have
You
to
just
say,
do it.
okay, this is what I am,
Yeah.
and apply for those jobs and fake it until you
Right.
make it. And that was great, because if I didn't do that, I'd probably still be, I'd be like, maybe I'd be art assisting on
Right,
like
right,
True
yeah.
Blood or something.
Yeah,
like
yeah, but
I'd
you'd
be,
still, but you wouldn't be, you wouldn't have the freedom that you have now
Yeah.
currently. But
I wouldn't, I'd be less happy because I would
Right.
I'd feel more like a cog in the machine, as opposed to, at least when I'm the head of art department, I get to make my own decisions to some extent.
Sure. But again, at the end of the day, you'd still turn that job down if you didn't need it.
Exactly.
And that's the struggle. And I feel the same way because I, like you, I do a variety of things. And, you take the money however you're going to get it. That's sort of the way that works. And again, this just comes back to like the aging thing. Like at some point, I'm going to have to be like, I just can't take this work anymore. Like, and a lot of people are like, oh, when you were young, Jake, you moved away from New York and like you took these risks. It's like, I really didn't take a lot of risks. I really didn't. All I did was move to a different place and then get another fucking shitty job. And yeah, I was always trying to create something and always try to put something out there and put a bit of myself out there. But I was always still just doing a job. I was always working at a bike shop or working at a music shop or working for a tech company. You know what I mean? Like I was always just doing a job of some sort. And at some point, I feel like I just need to start saying no to some of this work. But that's where the stress comes in of like, well, if I say no to this work, am I going to be sustainable? Am I going to be, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I want to dedicate, like I would have loved to have dedicated all of this year to just making another feature, to just getting Pinch, my first feature sold. Like, try to like pay attention to certain things, but you can't. And it's a matter of like kind of finding that balance and I don't know, making it work. I don't have an answer for it.
Sure.
It's just something that I think about every fucking day. And now I'm 34.
Do you know what? I had this nice moment recently. I sold my writing for a project, and getting to be on set as the writer was one of the most rewarding feelings.
Right.
And I haven't had that feeling for a while because it's so rare
Right.
that it gets to happen. But I had a moment during the pickup day where they decided to shoot this additional scene, and they came up with some dialogue for it on the fly.
Yeah, and you were just
and
like,
I listened to it and I thought, that's fine, but like I'm the writer, and let me come up with something that's actually will work a little bit better.
Yeah.
And that was awesome to sit down on the fly and write a script and then deliver that script, and then people say like, "Oh, that's great. That's such and I don't do it, of course, for like the people saying
no, you do. Don't lie.
No,
it's positive reinforcement feels fantastic.
I mean,
Paul.
positive.
You can own that.
No, but
we all want to be told good job.
I mean, yes, but that's not the reason. It's like,
of course, you do it because you love it.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I do feel like there are sort of there's people out here for sure who thrive on the positive reinforcement and need that. But regardless if I was getting positive reinforcement or not with my writing, I'd still be writing.
Right. I remember once you were telling me a feature that you wrote was sort of making its way around, and you were getting positive feedback just and being like, hey, we read your thing, and like just how that was like, ah, shit, like I want this feeling all the time.
Yeah,
I don't want to go to art department job. Like,
it was from casting directors.
Right.
And I guess that's the thing is that I get positive reinforcement for art department quite a bit.
Yeah, but I just don't care.
It doesn't matter to me.
That sort of happens to me quite a bit when people. So I do a lot of design work.
Sure.
And every now and then, like I recently did a bunch of design work for some play that was out here and another like independent movie, and a lot of people are like, oh my God, this was such a great thing. I'm so glad we called. And it's like, it's hard because you don't want to just be like, yeah, great, thanks, awesome, pay me. And I feel like it's hard for me personally to not be a condescending asshole to people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a struggle, but we're fucking lucky. Like we complain quite a bit, you and I, to each other, but we're both very lucky that we even get to do the jobs that we don't want to do, because neither one of us has to be anywhere at 9 a.m. every single day of the week.
Sure.
So we should definitely make it known that we are not ungrateful for the work that we get. At least I'm not.
I mean, sometimes I have to be places that, but yeah, it's
I
not
mean,
a regular.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like every single day of the week.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I'm really happy that I'm pursuing the things I'm pursuing. I think as I get older, I'm always going to wonder what if I did this earlier? What if what if I moved out to LA earlier? What if I made that first feature earlier instead of waiting so long? What if those shorts that I spent years making were just features instead? That kind of shit. There's
a quote that sat on my friend Haley's mom's fridge for a while. I'm paraphrasing it because I don't have it perfectly down, but the sentiment is, whatever you relentlessly chase and ardently pursue will indefinitely come to pass. And I think it's a very hopeful expression.
It's quite a romantic notion.
But I do think that there is truth to it, because if you say, oh, I want an ice cream sandwich today, and you go to Ralph's and you look in the ice cream section and they're out of ice cream sandwiches, and you said, well, maybe I'm going to go to another Ralph's and see if they have one, or maybe I'm going to go to Vons, but you drive around, you're going to run into ice cream sandwiches eventually.
Right, yeah.
Like, it's just going to happen, because the fact of the matter is, where we want our careers to go
Yeah.
exists. It exists as a job and it exists as a possibility.
Right.
And if we were ardently pursuing it, then it will happen. Unfortunately, here's the other thing. My friend Sarah has a book that says something along the lines of like, according to your astrology, this is the age where you'll be like complete and happy or something. And her age was like 36. And I looked at my age and it was 74. And I was like, so
according to your astrology?
Yeah. And I was like, cool, that's when I'll find love and be happy.
Well, unfortunately, everybody knows astrology is 100% accurate.
Yeah,
so
of course.
It's going to be a long wait.
I mean, I had to argue a romantic idea with another romantic idea.
Right, yeah.
Fight fire with fire.
I feel like this was a very artsy struggle conversation we had.
Yeah.
I feel like we might have more of these than we need to, but they're beneficial.
Sure.
I think you're doing a great job.
With
everything.
With everything?
Yeah, you're writing a friggin' fantastic book, which I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say or not, but you're writing a really fantastic book. You've put on 3 exceptional musicals at Second City. I think that despite the fact that maybe you might hate some of the jobs that you're taking every now and then, I think you're killing it. And I'm on your team, and I look forward to you continuing to kill it. And this is where you say all of those things about me, but it's okay. You don't have to. We'll just skip that.
Really?
No, I'm not looking for it. What I'm looking for is just
because I got
love.
them. I got a bag of them right here. All right, I'm opening up the bag right now. Oh, there's all these dicks in here. Let's see. And I think that you are amazingly skilled at beginning something and seeing it all the way through to the end. It's sort of what I said earlier about my inability to edit.
Right.
Anything that's difficult about something, anything that's like such a fucking pain in the ass, you are willing to power through it in order to complete it.
Okay.
And maybe you disagree with
like
me.
Hunkering. No. I get it. I mean, I've heard that before, and I appreciate that.
But it's because I think you strive for perfection, but a part of you also knows that having something presentable and finished, even if you're aching inside about the imperfections.
Oh God, that's me.
You will still put forth 100% energy to make it this wonderful bouquet or whatever the finished product is.
Right.
And that is really admirable because there's a bunch of people who will give up so quickly with the first sign of any flaw and anything that they hate about it.
Yeah.
And that's tremendous.
Well, thanks. That makes me feel good, Paul.
Yeah.
I feel like that's where we should end because now I feel good.
Good.
We came all this way. I want everybody to follow you on Instagram at the Paul Bianchi, right? Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Bianchi. It's in the title of this very podcast you're listening to. You follow me at Liquid Jake on Twitter. Man, I really hate that Twitter handle. I wish that the other person who's at Jake Lloyd would sign off of Twitter. They've never used it, not once. Regardless, I'm stuck at Liquid Jake on Twitter. I have never made an elaborate social media account for anything because I feel it's redundant.
Okay.
I feel there's no point in having one because it's going to be all the same crap that I'm posting. It's just one more thing for me to manage. But you can follow the show by using the hashtag #ElaboratePod.
Mm-hmm.
And please, of course, follow all of It's Dragon Wagon on social media. And once again, I really appreciate you guys listening to this. I know that we're still figuring it out, but I'm enjoying it, and I hope you are too. Love you, Paul.
I love you, Jake.
Hey guys, I'm sitting down with Zen Zenith, host of the House Show Show.
That's me.
That is you. Tell us a little bit about what the House Show Show is.
All right. Well, the House Show Show is a live event series and podcast where I have different guests on each week. So like in the first episode, we had Tiny Stills, who's this awesome singer-songwriter from here in Los Angeles. And she came on, played a couple songs, real stripped down, intimate style. And then I sat down and chatted with her and did a Q&A with the audience. And it was a lot of fun. We talked about depression and we talked about what her songwriting process is and how she really wants to write songs that make good AIM away messages.
That's fantastic. So you're not afraid. You're not afraid to get serious.
Yeah.
Not afraid to have some fun.
Yeah. It's a live show, so anything can happen, which is part of the fun of it.
It is such a fantastic time. I really do urge everybody out there to check out the House Show Show. You are just absolutely killing it.
Thanks, Jake. I appreciate that, man.
How do they listen to it?
They can check it out online at thehouseshowshow.com or subscribe to us for free on iTunes and Stitcher.
Dragon Wagon.